Alright guys, so I'm here to tell you about how to get Gridworld set up and get started on your computer with this. Okay, so you clicked on this link on my website to this Google Drive folder, and you're going to try and download this folder right here. It's called gridworldheart.zip. Okay, so the rest of these, this is just kind of the directions. These are some drivers we'll use later on. And this is the assignment we'll use at the beginning. But for the first part, and to get this set up on our computer, let's just click on gridworldheart.zip and download that. So right click download. And then that's going to download, the bottom of your screen, save file. The bottom of your screen, if you're using, your Chrome or whatever. I'm a, Firefox master race, so it just saves up there. So then what I want you to do, it's saved to the top of the screen. Just go ahead and drag that to your desktop or your comp.sci file or wherever you're going to save it. Okay, now let's minimize that. So this is a zip file like you've seen before. On some of your computers, it might show up as a folder, but when you right click, there should be some button, just like before, that said extract here or extract all or one of those. So hit the extract all or the extract here. Just go ahead and do that. If you have an Apple, it might do this automatically. But anyway, that'll make a folder called this. It'll make a folder called Gridworld Code BlueJ. Let's go ahead and open that folder up now. So this folder is going to contain everything you need to get started. All right, we're going to talk about this coffee cup in a while. That's something we're going to need for BlueJ. This is kind of a quick reference guide. We'll come back to that in just a sec too. But I want us to look at projects. So when we want to get started, let's go ahead and click on projects. And then we'll just go ahead and click on part one. That's where we're beginning. And then go ahead and open up the package. I put a BlueJ package into each one of these folders for you. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. You're going to go ahead and open up. You have this bug runner right here. And then one thing you're going to notice though right away is when you try and compile, it probably doesn't actually compile. It tells you that there's an error, a lot of errors, but the first one's in the import statement. It tells you this package doesn't exist. So what we need to do is make BlueJ aware of the package. And what that package is, that's this coffee cup back here at the start called Gridworld. Gridworld, it's a jar file. And you need to make BlueJ recognize that it has that jar file, and that's going to include all the code that we're going to use for the next month actually or so as we work in Gridworld. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to go back to BlueJ. Here's our project folder. We're going to go to Tools and then Preferences. So under Preferences now, I'm going to go over to the tab up here that says Libraries. And then you probably don't have anything here, but we're going to try and find that gridworld.jar file, the one that we have stored right here. Okay, in the Gridworld code folder. So I'm going to go to Add File, and I'm going to go save that on my computer. So it's on the desktop here. So it's Gridworld code BlueJ. So let's go ahead and just click on that. And then we'll go ahead now and click on this part right here. It says executable jar file or executable, I don't know, whatever. But it's called Gridworld. It should be a jar. And then just hit open. And it should show up here and say gridworld.jar not loaded. Again, you probably don't have these, that's fine. So you have these right now. This gridworld.jar and hit OK. And it's going to give you this message tell you got to reset the virtual machine. Now, if you hit compile, you're going to see it still doesn't compile. But what you're going to do now is go back to your BlueJ folder and just hit the reset button right here. So go ahead and hit that once, boop. And then that is going to reset. That's going to actually load in that gridworld.jar, and then you'll be able to compile and run. And what you've done is you've basically taken the framework and all the built-in code and set that up so that your code can see that. So now it compiled. I was able to access this import package. And now when I want to run it, let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Okay. So we'll hit OK, and then this beautiful image will show up on screen. And this is kind of the graphic. The graphics that we're going to be working with for the next, I don't know, month or so. So from this point, this is what it's going to look like. And you'll see you can hit run, and this bug that you have is going to start moving. If you want to stop it, of course, you can just hit stop, and it'll pause kind of in the middle. And then you can adjust the speed. If you want the bug to run slower, because maybe there's a speed limit or something, you can adjust it even slower. If you're trying to race through this video, or you just want to Jack Coleman, just 2 times speed everything, just bam, you can hit it fast, and it'll actually go pretty quickly around the screen. Okay, now if you want to make the bug go one step at a time, so you can just hit step. And when you hit step, it basically just does one action. It does one action, whether that's turning or whether that's moving, the bug just does one action. And then when you go ahead and do that, when you hit the run, it's just basically calling step a bunch of times in repetition. So when I go ahead and put this back to regular speed, it's just calling like step, 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 step as it goes around like that. Okay, some other cool things if you're stopped. If you want to add something to the grid, you can click on a blank space in the grid, and then you can just say, hey, I want to add a rock to that spot, or I want to add a bug to that spot. So those are things you can do, and you can add more elements in here. If you want to call a method directly on one of these objects, now BlueJay, again, really nicely set up. If you can call on one and say, all right, I'm going to just tell it to move, and it's going to move forward. I can click on it, and I can change the color of it. So if I want to set the color to be something else, I can just click on another color, hit OK, and it'll change the color of my object. If I want to get rid of something like, this rock is really harsh on my vibe, I can click on it and say, remove self from grid. And that'll just go ahead and get rid of it. And then there's some other things you could do. If you want to change the size of the grid, you can do that here. There are just some different things in the menus you can play with. But this is the graphics on the visual organizer that we're going to be using to kind of visually show the objects and play around with that. Okay, so that's the setup, and that's how to get that working. Hopefully you got it up to this point and were able to play around with this on your computer. If you had troubles getting it loaded or had troubles running it, go back and rewatch the specific part or send me a question. I'm happy to respond to your emails and help you out. And yeah, so that's just getting this set up, and I'll see you guys in class to play around with this. Thanks for watching.